Let's start with Croatia 1, Italy 1. A 98th minute equaliser to secure second spot in Group B, guaranteed qualification to the last 16 and a place in that round against Switzerland. Happy times for Italy, Peter.
Well, for 2 minutes. Well, for 2 minutes at the end of a football match. I mean,
Hey,
that was
slow starters.
That was absolutely bloody wild, wasn't it?
It was.
I mean, we've had quite a few little kind of situations on the other side. Obviously, Scotland doing what they did the day before. But, I mean, what a goal. 98 minutes in. I mean,
A finesse finish.
It doesn't get any better than that, does it?
Yeah. I mean, they say, the old adage, which I don't think we say anymore, but Italy are slow starters. They're so slow that they will wait until that 98th minute. But Jim, that finish.
It's funny, isn't it? Because there was a sense of inevitability when they were pouring forward. You're thinking, oh, they're going to score now. Oh, they have. Hang on, that was an amazing finish.
Yeah, but not like that. You weren't expecting that, were you?
No, not at all.
You were expecting like a bit of a scramble, unfortunately.
My brain logged it as like a tap-in. But actually, it was a brilliant finish. He had a lot to do from there.
Well, he did, but I think it's the way the ball comes across, his body shape, and it's basically the decision is made for you. There's only one place you can put this, which is obviously the best option. It's all about, can you execute it?
Yeah.
And bloody Nora didn't he just?
Yeah, I suppose other players in that situation often start it too narrow, I suppose, so they end up giving the keeper a chance. But the fact that the keeper doesn't even really dive, it's not like a committing dive, is it?
And the keeper was, a very, very good game as well. I mean, it was a wonderful save from a header in the first half and so on.
Yeah. The other thing I loved about it was Calafiori's part in the goal, because I think maybe 5 minutes earlier he gets booked and he's out of the next round.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, fuck it. I'll just put the game on my back and run the length of the pitch. Yeah, that was remarkable as well, especially for someone so handsome, which I suppose made explained why he was so emotional at the end of the game.
All that his handsomeness.
Yeah,
I
just saw myself in the mirror for the first time. You lucky thing.
I saw my reflection in a Croatian tear.
I mean, Zakadny, when he picks up the ball, if you look at the replays, there's a couple of Croatian defenders who are just caught ball watching.
Yeah.
And it is... But they all get sucked towards the ball. And the other thing about it is, I think they probably have the right idea in maintaining a line just on the edge of the box.
Yep.
But then there's
nothing wrong with the line.
Then they get drawn in.
Two of them, one in particular, ball watching, and they just don't see him in there.
Which, to me, vindicates sitting a little deeper.
Yeah. I mean, England weren't caught ball watching, were they?
No.
Other than that Danish one that went in the back of the net.
They didn't see it. He hit it too hard.
Exactly, yes. So don't hit it too hard.
Watched.
Slovenia, if you are listening, a little bit softer. Give us a chance. But, incredible scenes at the end and gutting for that man, Luka Modric.
Oh, massively, because the cojones on him to score that goal after Donnarumma saved his penalty, which it wasn't a brilliant penalty, but it also wasn't a terrible penalty. It was heading in the right direction. It's just he's just so long. Donnarumma's so long.
That ball was going into the corner and it wasn't at full stretch.
It's the size of the man.
He's like a rest of a goalkeeper, isn't he?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Super rest.
Yeah, it was just a superb save, but was it sort of 30 seconds or something like that after?
Something like that. I believe it was the same passage of play, wasn't it? There was a lot that he had to do. Like, he had to adjust his body in very, very quickly, and it's not a simple finish. And it just felt like properly, like... Everyone has been talking about how, is this the last time we're going to see Luka Modric at the tournament? And it's the point where he misses that, and you think, oh, that's going to be what defines the ending. And to then pop up and rectify it immediately is just a testament to what an unbelievable performer he is, and what a leader, really.
Yeah, and I believe an English 80s game show host said to him after the game, well, nobody leaves empty-handed, and gave him the Man of the Match award.
Right,
like,
okay.
Yeah, it didn't really... fine.
I mean, I think you've got to look at what an important footballer... It's kind of understated. It sounds like you're understating it when you say what an important talismanic footballer for Croatia he's been. But he has just been... the leader for such a very long time, and he's kind of pulling up trees even at this sort of late stage in his career, and he would have started playing football at youth level sort of late to mid-90s, I think it's fair to say. And, obviously a very, very new country, and to sort of see him sort of come to the ranks like that and sort of sum up precisely what that Croatian spirit's all about. It's he will be such a big miss, and it's hard to see where and who will sort of come and fill his boots, because I don't think anyone can really.
No, I think that they've had great players over the years, and they've punched above their weight really impressively with the talent they produce and the results they produce with that talent. But Modric is very much the jewel in the crown of that. I mean, they've got a country of 4 million people getting to a World Cup final. It's absolutely phenomenal.
It is, and what he and they have done, as you say, Jim, you just use the same words over and over again. And they're still alive in this tournament, but you'd imagine 2 points won't be enough.
Which is gutting, isn't it? Because they presumably have to hang around the camp.
Yeah.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah,
it's particularly annoying.
Chill out in Berlin or something.
Yeah.
I mean, there's worse places to chill out, as Vish's.
Write your album.
Yeah.
And of course, it's late goals that have cost them. I mean, anyone can be battered off this Spain side, so fair enough. Against Albania, should have won the game, definitely.
Yeah.
And then in this one, it just
You know what, though? I don't know where 8 minutes has come from.
Well, Zlatko Dalic, the Croatian manager, said this. He was very, very angry that there was 8 minutes of injury time. I think we were all a little bit surprised.
I mean, it was ultimately for us, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the injury time this Euros has been for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Modric, though, he became the tournament's oldest scorer, which is one of those things that you look back on, and presumably that will take a while to beat. It
would literally be beaten by Ronaldo. In this tournament.
Well, if he's got a taste for the assists.
Yeah, he's
he?
an assist man now.
Yeah.
No, because
we assisting a penalty. Is he?
But we established that the reason he assisted was because he had the record as the most assists.
That's true.
And now there's another one on the table that's just right there.
Yeah,
he's all about the personal little achievements, isn't he?
He's turned into a meat and potatoes sparrow, hasn't he?
That's right.
Collecting little
He's
trinkets.
like GTA, just collecting those little medals behind like buildings and stuff.
Yeah.
He's 100% now. He's trying to 100% everything.
That's true.
Never got the worldie though, did he?
Yeah. So I really hope Pepe scores now. Ronaldo's going to have to hang around.
So he can't trump it.
But Modric said, I'll keep playing on, but I don't know for how much longer. And I wonder if indeed they do go out, which is what we very much expect. I just wonder if he kind of looks at the next World Cup. Obviously, they have to qualify for it first. But if he just thinks,
I might not start, but maybe I'll be using it.
He just doesn't have the legs anymore.
I know.
Like, there's a reason Real Madrid used him as a closer. And Dalic is, at the start of the tournament, before the tournament started, got in not a bit of trouble, but basically was just brutally honest about the fact that, look, this is the end of this Croatia that you know. Because as much as it's carried in Modric, think of all the brilliant players that are at the end of their careers now. At the same time, what is he doing taking off Kovacic as early as he did?
I was really, really surprised by that. Because he's such a sort of important player when it comes to controlling a game, and he gives you a lot.
He's also incredibly fit.
Yeah,
like he's one of the fittest players in Europe. Why? It's mad. And then they lose control of the game, and what are you going to do?
Maybe he's carrying something. I don't know, but it was like that loss of control felt like such a sort of gut punch, didn't it? Because they've not won a game at the tournament, but it feels like, in the aftermath of that very late goal, that didn't tell the whole story. It felt like they were back. They'd arrived. They'd grown into the tournament. They'd started to hit form when it actually mattered. They'd shown us who they really were. All those things that felt like a part of the narrative and felt like this is Croatia. You can expect Croatia to put in a good performance. Suddenly, just evaporated.
Yeah, and also as well. I mean, if they'd have gone through, of course, to the knockouts, as I say, that they'd be playing against Switzerland. Now, I actually maybe fancy Switzerland for that one, but it's a doable game. So you start to think, if you're a Croatia fan watching that, you think, if we go through here, Switzerland's not the toughest game. It's a tough game, and you start to think, well, hang on a minute here, can we go on one of those runs? Previous World Cup, you would never fancied them to get to the semi-final, beating Brazil and all that, what they've achieved. You think, bloody hell, is this one proper last hurrah for this side?
Yeah.
And then that goal goes in and it's gutting. And it's that kind of thing that Modric will think, can I leave on this note? But I think as the dust settles, he scores in his last game. He's a man of a match display. His legs are going, as you say, Vish, to go again for a World Cup in that heat as well that will be in North America.
But like Vish says, though, he's a closer now. So could tournaments need closers?
Yeah, well, like Ivan Perisic seems to be that man, doesn't he?
I'm sure when it gets to the point where they are officially knocked out, they'll go out and sort of have a few drinks to say goodbye, and it'll be like 10 o'clock, and Modric will be thinking, oh, my feet hurt. I don't really want to be here. I'd rather just go back to the hotel. And I think he'll take a similar approach to playing for Croatia in the next World Cup.
Yeah.
Messaging his partner, being like, can you just pretend there's a problem at home?
Washing machine or something. Yeah.
Is that
what happened when your roof fell in?
God, that was spectacular.
Yes, yeah.
Is it all fixed now?
Just about, yeah. Until I need another excuse.
Just hitting it with a broom.
There's a different roof that fell in. Did you see the Croatia fans had made Janje is better than pasta sign one of the foods from their country? Italians taking a lot of
food stick.
A lot of food stick.
They really are.
They deserve it, though.
I think they do. I think their main, one of their main dishes is cheese on toast, and everybody has a real
Welsh
boner about it. And everyone gets very animated about where to have the best pizza and stuff.
What time you can have a coffee.
What time you can have a coffee. It's silly.
It is silly.
Last time I was in Milan, a man would not serve me a latte until I admitted that what latte meant in Italian. And I have never forgiven him, and I hate their cuisine and their people.
Good. Peter,
I added on the people as a little joke at the end.
No, don't joke. You're just saying what we're all thinking, mate.
But that Janje stuff is just a big... I would say it is better, but it's a kind of a different dish because it is just lamb on a stick.
Yeah, it's a lamb
on a whole lamb
isn't it?
on a spit. Right up there.
It's a very different mood, that, isn't it?
Yeah. And also it says like...
to a hog?
To a bowl of pasta.
Oh,
yeah. Like, there's no... I mean, price point-wise, you're looking at 200 quid there next to a bowl of pasta, which is £5.
Depends where you go.
But
it's a fair point. Well, look...
Why not combine them?
What, just jam it in there? Oh, right.
I think Italy might declare war on Croatia if anyone attempted that.
Very, very
get
strict.
the spaghetti up the lamb. Get it
don't
on
worry,
the spit.
we'll use products native to Italy and get them shipped over, so it's fucking expensive. Unbelievable.
Take the gnocchi out the packet. Got to freeze that now. Annoying.
British tomatoes. Anyway, so they're
She's spaghetti hoops.
Yeah, exactly. It's combined for you, isn't
Alpha
it?
bites and spaghetti hoops. Come on.
The good people at Heinz have taken care of so much for
Exactly,
you.
yeah.
Also, who does the best pizza? Dr. Rutger. Where's he from? Yeah?
I don't know. Germany?
Not from Italy.
Probably not. I think it's best to not look too deeply into his past.
Right, I'll say that. Okay. I thought the Hawaiians did the best pizza, but there we are. But yeah, so Italy are through. But I tell you what, though, they're getting a lot of criticism back home in Italia, as they call it. Spalletti
on their cardigans.
On their cardigans specifically. I mean, it is a top man job, isn't it? It's like what we said. Ozara, you sort of say, oh, that's not a bad shirt. You try it on, you turn around, it's like, oh, there's a sequin dragon or something on the back. It's like, oh, they put Italia on the back, or oh dear, no, well, that's not having that anymore. So I mean, there was a bit of chat last night on the Ramble WhatsApp group to give people an insight in how we analyse football as the game's going on. Is it a suit or a cardigan?
We thought it was a suit initially, didn't we? But I think actually,
or is it a cute?
It is some sort of cardigan. Sort of blazer hybrid that that is beyond our comprehension.
Is it like when Italians. It gets wet, it just turns into a suit jacket?
Ooh, like James Bond. Yeah. He comes out of the water and he's like, "That'll do, mate."
I think they've been getting stick at home though, right? About
what for the suits?
Yeah,
yes,
which is
right.
But the wider footballing issues they have as well.
Taking hits all over the place.
Well, Spalletti's been getting criticised for his tactics, and I mean, I think because of what he did at Napoli last season. I suppose we think he's just untouchable then. Like, surely this is the man. And I thought, you've got to take Italy seriously because Spalletti's in charge. And I think they're not a bad side, not great Italian side, but not a bad side. But with him at the helm, but he's been pretty defiant in some of his press conferences, and in particular, the post-match presser in this one, saying, one of the journalists suggested that his 3-5-2 formation that they were playing was some sort of, as the journalist put it, a pact between him and the players, and it was all very last minute. To which I loved his reply. So Coverciano is the coaching school in Italy, the official one, which is incredible pedigree, and which got, as far as I'm aware, nothing really like it in this country. But a lot of famous names have come through there. And when he was talking about this 3-5-2, he turned around and he said, "Well, I did my dissertation at Coverciano on 3-5-2, so don't question me. I know a lot." Which which is the kind of response that you can't imagine any English manager saying that.
No.
I did my dissertation on this formation.
It was like a very Italian exchange.
But fair play to him. But he said, don't take the piss out of us because we lost a game in the group. There is venom coming from all sides.
Ugh.
And I inject the venom inside myself if it doesn't, because I need to be at the level and I react.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, well, if you weren't giving me the venom, then I would be putting it inside myself.
Well, where's he going to get the venom? If no one's giving him any venom, where's he going to find the venom to power himself from?
I hate to think, Peter.
Well, that's even more frightening, isn't it?
He's got venom himself.
Milking snakes in his spare time.
His time
Italian
off, yeah.
snakes specifically,
Sure.
Jim.
Yeah. Very stylish.
They're very indeed, yeah. Well, and there was criticism, of course, when they were hammered by... Well, I say hammered, I mean, they lost 1-0 to Spain, but I mean, it was 1-0 going on 4-0. Against Albania, I thought they did okay. They responded
they were
well.
really comfortable, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly. But again, in this game, I think that they were a bit surprised that Italy... They did look disjointed. They didn't look like they were really going to score until obviously they got one. There was a bit of a lack of ideas. And it was suggested that he was afraid to lose the match. So therefore, he thought, I'll settle for a point. And he said, afraid? What kind of question is that? If I was afraid, I would not have come here like you journalists and watched the game. I would have done another job and come to watch the game. I would have bought a ticket, but they would have given me one anyway. I've lost lots of games in my life. I'm not afraid to lose a football match. I mean, it's a beautiful response.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
I would have bought a ticket, but they would have given me one anyway because I'm me.
Yeah.
You know, like...
It's amazing.
Venom.
But it shows you. I mean, you know, we say obviously.
Yeah, I think he's gone overboard with the venom.
He's got too much venom. He's had too much venom.
Lower your venom intake.
Get him
mate.
back to the Airbnb. Come on. Come on.
Just before the presser, I saw you gobbling on the venom.
Take him back to the Airbnb. I just had flashbacks.
He's had too much venom.
I'll tell you what. So there's, it's not the happiest of camps, but
No, but
a late. Well, I nearly said winner. A late goal that puts you through can.
I don't think you can ever know with the way that an Italian manager always expresses himself. I think broadly, I think they're going to be fine.
I think the words are not lost in translation.
Right, okay.
I think there's a lot we could draw from that. And
Yeah.
it's a very different approach to Gareth Southgate, isn't it? But it is a
Yes, it is.
It's a
Yes, it
reminder,
is.
though, that, kind of every kind of fancied country has an element of pressure that is...
Yeah.
But I don't think they're fancied though, and I think that's the thing in Italy. They're very critical
All
of
right,
the side.
maybe not fancied, but
Big
certainly
nation.
high profile.
Yeah.
They've got the infrastructure to deal with a fancied team, if you know what I mean, media-wise.
Yes.
They
I like that.
are harsh on them
But
because of what they've
I
achieved
mean,
in the past.
they are the current holders.
Exactly.
Lest we forget. Damn them.
Might slip out of their grasp if they've got venom all over their hands. That's all I'm saying. All right,
It's very true. It's
Relax.
very true. Well, they will play Switzerland in the next round. I think that's quite a hard one to call. But I think the Swiss will fancy that.
I think they will too.
I think they will as well. Albania lost 1-0 to Spain. Spain have won all 3 matches at the Euros for the second time in their history. The time they did it was when they won it in 2008. They've scored 5 goals in this tournament with none conceded. Front row.
No, I don't. And this team was all changed, please,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
was.
Literally
yeah.
their second 11.
They
Whole
made
squad has played now.
10 changes to the team, including the goalkeeper, clean sheet and a victory. Aymeric Laporte was the only player to keep his place.
I love a system that wins games rather than personnel.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's nice.
Bringing on Jesus Navas and Lamine Yamal is quite a flex as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's quite interesting, and it is good to remind ourselves that Andy Brassel wrote them off before the tournament, and we do have the quotes to prove it, Andy. But yeah, I tell you something though.
I would very much like to see Andy's hit rate compared to yours, Luke's.
Would you?
You two are the most vocal about Andy's hit record, and I would say that his is pretty high, I would say, in previous
It's not
tournaments.
over yet, is it?
Yeah.
Why can't
They
you
might
let-
lose in the final and he'll still have egg on his face.
That's true. That's very true. Luis de la Fuente. Not that long ago, the people were calling for his head as Spain manager. He went on to win the UEFA Nations League, which calmed everything down, but lost to Scotland in the qualifiers, and people were thinking, hang on, not this. But it's clicked, and it's clicked very much at the right time, and it's a very happy camp. And if you read about the man, he is very keen on a happy camp. You know, in the Athletic, they were saying how he will, like, squad harmony is absolutely huge for him. And you might say, well, that's sort of standard stuff. Well, firstly, it should be standard stuff.
Work for England.
And yes, and hopefully that'll come through in this tournament. But Southgate's been big on it as England manager. De La Fuente is as well, having managed Spain at age cap level and whatnot. He gets this, and a lot of these players have played under him at various levels as well. And it's no stone left unturned. And you can see that they know that it's the classic thing. They know the jobs, and they're bloody loving it. And the confidence that they're playing with is sensational. They are one of the favourites now for this tournament.
Sure. It's a lot easier said than done, I think, isn't it, to instill that kind of positivity in a camp.
Yes.
We're seeing it with England now. We'll come on to them in a bit, obviously, and kind of the conversation we just had about Italy sort of relates into it as well, about how it's easy for anyone to sit there and go, oh, it'd be good if they're relaxed and they're having a good time and they're enjoying it. But actually making that happen with all of the outside pressures that come with it and the complications of each different opponent and how little time you have to prepare for them and all of the variables and all different things that can happen, it's really difficult to get it to actually work. So it's very impressive that they've managed to do it with a squad with such a mixture of ages as well.
He's got a couple of bands in there, doesn't he?
He really does. Fermin Lopez came off the bench as well. The future is terrifyingly bright.
It is the ideal kind of international manager one who have kind of gone to tournaments as a lower age level manager, worked with camps before, because coming from a club side, you just don't really get that. You might get a pre-season tournament here and there, but it's not really the same thing because you've always got access to your players.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously arguments for that. I mean, I think it's sort of inevitably have to take on a case-by-case basis. I mean, would Lee Carsley be up for the England job when Southgate goes? I mean, he genuinely might be.
He seems to be in the running, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
In terms of bookmakers, at least.
Exactly, but it often. I mean, Southgate is obviously got the job from under 21s and so on. They're often underwhelming appointments, and that seemed to be the case in Spain as well. You think some of the managers that they've produced as well. I mean, Luis Enrique was sacked. Was it after the World Cup? Far bigger name. Achieved far more in the game. But De La Fuente has got them playing and has managed to turn it round. But he turned it round in the right time. You don't have to turn it round in tournament like England seem to be having to do now. You turn it round on the way to the tournament, and when you get there, you're ready to go. And they're all on board with it, and they're all having a great time. And he's huge in that. And I mean, even little details like messaging, as they were saying in the piece in The Athletic, texting all the members of staff, whether it be the chef or whether it be whoever, just saying you're a part of this, and bringing it all together like that. And again, people might say, well, that's such basic, but there's heads of companies that don't do stuff like this. So the proof is in the pudding, as the chef would argue, and they're absolutely bloody loving it. And the aforementioned Jesus Navas became the oldest player to play at an international tournament for Spain, which goes to show you, Jim, the difference in ages and so on. The Albania coach Silvino said Spain's second team could play in the final and be the favourite. We were saying this about the Portugal second string as well. It seems to be in that part of the world, in Iberia, they are producing players and they're playing frighteningly good football. And quite frankly, England have to win the group because I want them to be on the opposite side of the draw to all of those teams. But of course that result did mean that England go through to the last 16 as at least the best, one of the best third-ranked sides in there. But what about Albania, chaps? Only their second Euros. They've never played at a World Cup. In terms of football, one of the smaller nations, but seem to really enjoy themselves.
Yeah, I really fancied them to go a little bit deeper, or maybe grab a couple more points than this. But it was just a hellish group for them, really, to a certain extent.
It was, yeah.
But new manager, I hope he stays on.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're alive in that once you get to the third game, Vish, when your country like Albania, it's kind of like that's what you're asking for. I mean, they pushed and couldn't quite get anything, but it's almost what you want. We've already kind of been saying this about Georgia. Is you turn up at a tournament, you're kind of unfancied, but they've got a moment to hang their hat on when they got that equaliser against Croatia.
Yeah,
even the opening goal against Italy, it will evoke very, very fond memories.
I mean, that was brilliant. That was like a great moment in a first round full of brilliant moments. That was up there. Not just the goals so quickly, but the emotion that you could feel through the TV as well. I thought they gave a very good account of themselves. I think as you say, you'd hope to get a bit more from the last group game, but you look at that group and there's not an easy game there, is there? No. And then they actually acquitted themselves well against Croatia, but just came, I suppose it ultimately fell short because they weren't able to win that game.
Yeah. Scored 3 goals though. As you say, they've given a really good account of themselves. They will have that moment against Italy, and that late equaliser against Croatia, despite the sort of pain of letting the lead slip, will be a sort of defining moment for Albanian football and a lot of people growing up there now for a long, long time. And it was always going to be a huge, huge ask for them to get out of that group in particular. And I think, bar actually qualifying for the knockouts, it's been about as good as you could expect.
They got to throw a lot of stuff on the pitch as well.
Yeah, they did.
That was fun.
Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody, coming up in the second half, we're going to be talking about England versus Slovenia tonight. One or two of the other games also playing today. And yes, of course, a Polish company has made a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle mask for Kylian Mbappe. Of course they have. See you in a moment.
Everything was a challenge. I'd eat an apple in the, watching the TV at night, and the bin would be by the TV, 6 meters away or whatever it was. And I would just do it. I had the bravery to miss, and for there to be a stain on the wallpaper, and my mum to absolutely scream at me. But the next day I'd do the same, and I'd be bump, and it'd go right in the middle, and my dad would give me a nod of approval, and my mum would be seething but couldn't say anything because it went in.
The brave boy, Michael Owen.
Hellish men of the Owen household there.
Hey, that is what it takes to get to the top. This is I'm hoping there are bins by every screen in the England camp and just bowls of apples.
Right, just dirty old apples.
So they can just learn to be brave.
Yeah.
Right, it's time for the next Ramble Bet Builder with our partners at Betfred. Throughout the Euros, we've been building our own Ramble Bet Builder ahead of either England or Scotland's next game, because with Betfred, if you build a bet on any England game this summer and it loses, they'll give you your money back as a free bet. It's an offer available on every single England game throughout the entire Euros. Today, we're looking ahead to England's final group game, which is tonight against Slovenia. Pete, you're up first. What's your selection?
I'm going to go for both teams to score. I can see even the hardest England heart, Marcus Speller must admit, they are very much liable to letting an absolute howitzer. So I do think that both teams are going to score in this one. Ooh. I think we're going to be very upset at half-time, but I think things are going to pick up in the second half. That's not part of my prediction, but very much both teams to score is part of my prediction.
Okay, good. You've given us some extra detail there.
Yes.
But the takeaway is both teams have scored. Good. Jim?
I'm not one to shy away from the big calls. So I'm going to say that this game will feature under 8.5 corners. Everybody is wondering about how many corners will there be?
Yeah.
How many corners will it be under or over? I'm drawing a line in the sand.
Good.
It is under 8.5.
I don't think we've seen that many corners in the tournament, so I think that's a pretty safe one, to be honest. So I think I'm glad you've. I see this Jim's part as being quite a complimentary part of the prediction.
Oh dear. Vish, what are you choosing?
I'm choosing Jude Bellingham to score at any time.
Oh.
Yes, 50% of England's goals at this tournament. I also think with the reported move of Gallagher coming in to replace Trent Alexander-Arnold in midfield would mean that Bellingham have to spend more time further forward, essentially, and actually be kind of, essentially, stay where you're put, mate. Stop running around
Stay
and
in your lane.
anything. Yeah. Which will mean that he's, more involved in the play in the final third, and thus, much as he did in the first game, make those late darts into the box and get us a goal.
He'll get us a goal. I'm going to go for England to win. England have got to win. They will win. So they will win.
Manifest it.
I've said it, and it will happen.
Positive mental attitude, please, Marcus.
They have to win the group to avoid Germany, to make sure. So that is utterly crucial. Although, whoever lies in wait, it'll be tricky. But I think England are going to win. They've got to come out with a statement performance. Unless we forget, they are a much better side than Slovenia.
Yes.
Yeah. So England to win, whether it's a good performance or still a little bit of a patchy performance, I think England will definitely have enough against Slovenia. So to summarise, both teams to score, under 8.5 corners, Jude Bellingham to score at any time, and England to win. A £10 bet on that bet builder returns £110, and if we win, all that money goes to Prostate Cancer UK. A minimum 4 selections on any England match at odds of 3-1 or more, 100% of your stake back in free bets on your first losing bet builder bet on any England game. You've got to be over 18. T's and C's apply, and head to begambleaware.org for more information on responsible gambling. Right, gentlemen, England versus Slovenia tonight at 8 o'clock. We'll be watching this alongside a number of our good Ramble listeners at the Ramble Watch Along. But England need a win to guarantee top spot in Group C and to avoid Germany.
Yes, very much so. So what do you want to see from England tonight? Because
goals, mate, goals.
For me, it is actually kind of nearly as simple as that. I want assertiveness.
Yes.
And I want them to essentially create chances. I really believe as long as they bring those two elements into the game, then they will win comfortably and remind themselves of how good they are, potentially.
It's funny, people have often said that Southgate's England sides have been boring. I understand that in little, but actually, as I say, in the last World Cup, they scored 13 goals in 5 games, which is a great return. They have done this. And against sides like Slovenia, I think in Albania, was it Albania? In qualifying ones, you just felt Southgate said, go out there and batter them. And they were like 4 or 5-0 up at half time. They have the ability to actually go at teams. But it just seems odd at the moment. There's a lot of chat about the fitness and people going on and on and on about pressing and so on. I understand, but just the general fit is so lethargic we've seen so far. Vish.
Most of these teams play in the top league, though. Like everyone's got the same situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What do you mean? Sorry.
Well, every player that's in a top team from Spain to Italy, and the ones that are actually pulling up trees with their points, they're all tired and they've all had long seasons, and most of them play in the Premier League.
Indeed, which is why it's strange. That's the point. It's strange that England are lethargic in this issue of fitness and so on. So it's odd. I mean, Gary Neville's comments were interesting. If anyone saw that on Instagram, he was talking about how playing in England sides, he said England have done that over the generations, have scored and then retreated, which we're seeing now. And he said Terry Venables was the only manager that he played under. He didn't play under that many England managers, but he played under enough so I suppose nobody really plays under that many. Yeah. And he said Venables was the only one, and he said because he coached them how not to fall into that trap, essentially.
Well, essentially, it's because he was talking specifically about dropping deep after you've scored, and he's saying that no one really means to do it, but it's something that you tend to do when you feel like you're holding something,
right?
And it basically happens without you realising.
It has to be to do with English football culture.
No. Well, I mean, yes and no, because Neville's point was basically you have to groove yourself into recalibrating, almost kind of finding that equilibrium again, because you kind of immediately think we've scored, they've scored. It's like if, for example, in boxing, the best boxers are the ones that don't need to be punched to punch someone, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. And similarly, are not scared of getting punched when they punch someone. So at no point are they thinking, right, we're going to get a counter reaction here, which is basically what England do when they sit back, because they think, right, let's absorb this a bit more because they're really going to come at us now because we've gone at them. And Neville's point was basically you kind of work 180 with that, where you're like, right, this is going to happen to you. Here's how you get out of it. Yeah. And the thing I got from his, his very interesting chat on Instagram, was that we have the players to do that.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a case of grooving that. But then, can you groove that in a tournament? I feel like you can't. But then, almost leaning on Pete's point earlier, like they all play for big teams and they all play in positions where they're, specifically that midfield, but even the defence to a point, they all play in teams where you need to play out from the back and get that recalibration going. So, I don't know if it's the kind of thing that does sort itself out.
Well, we've seen this
British politeness, just
Maybe.
kind of like after you.
But we've only seen this in big games for Southgate. The semi-final at the World Cup in Russia, the final in the Euros. Didn't see it at the last World Cup, actually, because, against France in the big game, they didn't have the lead. So
France were quite bad as well.
Yeah, but so this early in the tournament, and this seem in both games, it's just odd.
It is. Southgate did say after the Serbia game that he was pleased that England had to suffer a bit because he saw what they were made of in that circumstance. So perhaps there is actually a positive to take from it that will become clear later if they click a little bit more. I do wonder if the emotion of it is something that is a little bit of an unknown factor that has hit them harder than expected.
Well, I think that might be.
I think that the tag of favourites might be really, really difficult for them to wear because they're not used to that. And actually, there's an idea from everything coming out of the camp that they're sort of a little bit beleaguered and the criticism has been really difficult and it was difficult for them going into the camp. But I can't really remember a pre-tournament atmosphere that's been so positive towards England. Everyone wants them to do well. Everyone's really, really sort of in favour of them and delighted for them that they're so good and excited by the players we have and the potential of it all. So it's interesting to me that the noise coming out of the camp seems to be that it's kind of got to them a little bit. So I wonder really how that's happened.
But it doesn't take much, though. It doesn't take much for the negativity to creep in. It doesn't take much of the positivity. Well, it takes more, but as in a little something can suddenly go. I mean, you think about Argentina in the previous World Cup. After their second game when they beat, was it Mexico? which put them in contention for getting into the knockouts. Apparently, they stayed behind in the dressing room for an hour or two, singing and dancing. All this, we were like, right, we've cracked it. We're away.
If we win 3-0 tonight, no one will be talking about this.
And so
the last 2 games.
Indeed, which is why tonight's game is important. If England just squeak through with a 1-0, it's a bit unconvincing. All that negativity kind of remains. So it is important, and I think what you say there, Jim, is correct. However, in that game against Iceland just before the tournament at Wembley, it's something like that. Suddenly, oh, hang on, what's this?
It's a bit frozen.
Exactly, and that can make a difference. One of the things that Luke said yesterday on the show is he said, if you look at the team sheet an hour before kickoff, and we don't know what the team is, we hear the rumours, and David Ornstein has said that it looks like it'll be Gallagher in for Trent, and he far more often than not is the man with his finger on the pulse with England and gets it right. Luke said that if you see a couple more changes or something, then just relax. Whereas if it's just Gallagher for Trent, he went, that's when you got to be concerned.
Yeah.
Now, Southgate has said you don't want a knee-jerk reaction, and it's just calm down. Let's carry on.
Unless you're in front of the goal and the knee can get the ball in the net.
Yeah, that's exactly when you want.
Then you do want one.
You want one of those reactions.
He should clarify that.
Yeah, he should clarify.
Yeah. And actually, it's a failure of the journalist to not pull him up.
I think it's more. I think it's more mixed. I think it's more mixed messages from within the camp. In disarray. But the Gallagher thing is, I suppose it was actually it's a very Southgate move, isn't it? He used him twice. He's made that substitution twice in the opening 2 games. He was always going to make a change. It was always going to be Trent, and it was always going to be Gallagher.
So he's obviously not worried about England keeping the ball. I mean, we saw them against Serbia.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have a little bit of a sample size in this tournament, with that sort of the opening stages against Serbia. I don't want to go too crazy. I think people thought England were fantastic. England weren't bad. They were on top for a period of that first half.
They controlled it. They set the agenda.
Yeah, and then
Serbia brought on a ball player in Tadic, and suddenly we didn't have much of the ball.
Well, even before that, actually, it was before at half time. Serbia kind of swept England back. But the point is that Southgate believes in this team, and again, we've seen this team and these players put in good performances for England. We know what they're capable of. So I can understand if he thinks, right, we need somebody to just remind them, get a bit more energy, and then fine. But you can still see Phil Foden's a bit pissed off playing on the left. You can still see that one or two of the players are not quite there fitness-wise, and we'll have to wait and see against Slovenia. So I think if indeed it is just that change, which we expect it to be, I don't think it'll convince people.
Yeah, I am inclined to suspect that will be the case, because we've seen that team. We've seen Gallagher in the team, and Southgate, when asked on what Gallagher brings, he said sort of pressing and energy, essentially. And that's all well and good if everyone's doing it. But if Gallagher's got to go and sort of do that himself, that's asking a lot of him. Like, it won't be very long before he seems like an estate agent whose car's broken down and has had to meet you at the viewing. Do you know what I mean? Just be absolutely gassed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and also as well, all this chat about England don't have a replacement for Calvin Phillips, and all that sort of chat. It's not really Gallagher's. Yeah, exactly. It's not really Gallagher's position. This,
but that speaks more to Southgate, doesn't it? Like, Southgate doesn't have a role. A player comes in, he likes that player, and they do what they do in that specific position on the pitch, rather than what we want you to shield or we want you to recycle the ball. You be you're Calvin Phillips. You be you're Conor Gallagher. Yeah. The whole pressing and energy thing. That's just Conor Gallagher.
Yeah,
he didn't ask of it for Trent. What did he want from Trent? He wanted someone to spray passes about because that's Trent Alexander-Arnold.
And actually, Trent Alexander-Arnold made the most chances in the last game. I think he created 3. So it'd be interesting to see what happens without that. I think I agree with you, Marcus, the other day, saying that I don't think actually Trent Alexander-Arnold's really done much, and he's quite unfortunate in how the spotlight's fallen on him this tournament. But I think actually it's worth remembering that Southgate will have faith in this team. He will have faith in this system and the players in it, and he is giving them the opportunity to play themselves into form. Yeah. It's a very short tournament, right? And you get 3 games in the group, so if you change too much at once, it gives the impression you don't know what you're doing, and everybody might be going, well, why didn't he know? Which we sort of are doing. We have kind of done a little bit ourselves, because that's the nature of looking at such a small sample size, I guess. But so I'm not actually. I was hoping for the 3-man midfield of Rice, Bellingham, and Foden, as a lot of people were as well. But
If they're not trained for that,
I'm not
what's
surprised.
And also, like, what do you want out of this? Like, could we not just say, well, maybe it isn't a failure of whatever system Gareth Southgate thinks it's got, and maybe just the last match was a real one-off because they just played abject from 1 to 11. They were just a bit crap, and we got a point out of it. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's what obviously Southgate's hoping for, and I understand it from Southgate's point of view. He's kind of like, well, hang on, don't go mental, everybody.
Exactly.
Just let's have a bit of calm. I think the problem is, as England fans, you remember tournaments pre-Southgate, and you just go, "Oh, what about this?" Which does that count for anything? I mean, probably not. You'd certainly hope not, because it's a totally different set of players, and
the level's higher.
And the level's higher, definitely. Whatever Southgate does in this game, he can change it for the following game.
Yeah, and he probably will, won't he? He does tweak.
Yeah, I mean, he did that in the previous years, and it worked really well. So we're looking for a big performance, though.
This is it, isn't it?
From England.
And actually, that's probably quite unhelpful for them.
Well, I mean, they don't have the luxury of doing what Spain did and ringing the changes, but I'm not sure they would have done that wholesale anyway.
If you've got 11 players trying to just impress themselves onto the match, you're probably going to get a better performance than what you got in midweek anyway.
This is it, isn't it? I think, what we all would like to see is, I suppose, evidence that there are further gears to go through, that when we come up against a really good opposition, we're going to give them some trouble. We're going to give them something to think about. And we've not seen that in the last two games.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get a bit more of that tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if Phil Foden will be refreshed, because apparently he's been enjoying a spot of fishing in his downtime.
He has. And the fish he caught is like the size of him.
Yeah. Was that actually the fish that he caught? Or was that a library picture of him with an absolute beast? I don't think it's that. I just never understood why those big fat fish are interested in tiny bits of food on a bit of hook, because it'd be like running around eating like me, really
it's not the only
lusting
way
after
you catch a fish, Peter.
This feels like victim blaming to me.
What do you mean? How would he catch a fish then?
Look, we've all tried to catch minnows and all that in the pond.
Yeah, but how does he? But what's the difference? How does he get the?
He sticks a kebab on the end of the line and chucks it in. Like,
I'm
fairly certain that the fish.
There's different.
Are you both arguing that fish are stupid? Is that
if I'm starving, right, I'm not going to look for a Mr. Kipling cake-sized bit of food.
Exactly.
I want a hamburger.
I'm not saying they're. Well, I'm not saying anything yet. I don't think people are saying that they're stupid. I think they're greedy.
Yes. Why do they want every last tiny little morsel of food? They should be looking for something a bit bigger.
Also, they're round little fish as well. Eat them.
Eat them.
If you're the size, and it's an impressively sized fish.
Yeah.
Obviously a thick, isn't he? Like,
he's such a massive fish. I wonder if he might be psychic. If that's what Foden's trying to do.
Now you are talking, Jim.
You get away from that Slovenia bucket. Yeah. Tell us what happens.
We've got the
Tell
England,
us your secrets, Fishy.
He's fishing with an England flag. There's a Slovenia flag over there. Well, Jim, that leads us on neatly. Toby Baker has been in touch and saying, on the recent topic of psychic animals, which we're always talking about on the Football Ramble, I was at the Dortmund fan zone for the Turkey versus Portugal game. No doubt Andy Brassel was there as well.
Absolutely.
They played a clip of an orangutan called Walter picking between picking between a Turkey shirt and a Portugal shirt. It chose the Portugal shirt, and the booing and the whistling from the Turkey fans was incredible. Properly rattled by an orangutan.
As it should be.
I would say that, like, if I was going to trust... You know my opinions about psychic animals.
Yeah, you're big on it.
I think it's crap. I think it's an absolute nonsense.
Why? What were you basing that on?
Paul the Octopus, a load of shit. It's every tournament we get some kind of nonsense.
You put Paul there.
I'm not talking about his record. I don't care about his record.
What have we got to go on?
50 in it.
No, he got all 7 predictions of Germany's tournament right.
That we saw.
That we saw.
Jim, I'm not having
He could be 100 years old. He's probably be predicting them terribly throughout the rest of his history.
I am not having any conspiracy theories about Paul the Octopus.
But orangutans are perfect because, like, the big this orangutan has got the big plates on the side of his head.
Right.
Yeah. The flange one. It means like that they're the top dog. They're the main kind of alpha male in the group. Like orangutans do nothing. Like, the male old orangutans do nothing. They just sit by themselves. They don't talk to anyone. They don't help with the child rearing. Yeah. They just sit by themselves like an old man in a shed.
And listen to Radio 5 Live.
Exactly. All they
so
do
they know about football.
Exactly. So they're just going to be a boring old kind of, doom bar drinking old gaffer who just comes in, has sex with a female and goes off again. That's all he do. I trust that kind, because he's a nerd. He doesn't have any outside influence. He's just obsessed with football, and I trust his predictions. So I'm all about Walter the orangutan.
What about, can I throw an orangutan at you? King Louis from the Jungle Book.
He can dance. He's got longer arms than the normal orangutan.
King of the swingers,
he's the king of the swingers as well. Well, he's clearly got other interests. He's obviously got other interests in other familial groups.
Fire as well. He's properly into fire.
Properly into fire, he was, yeah. Exactly.
Oh, dear. I can't believe you're having to go at Paul the Octopus, though.
Well,
an immaculate record.
I think he's terrible.
Oh.
I think he's awful.
All right. Elsewhere in Group C, Denmark plays Serbia. So we need to win to have any chance of reaching the last 16, of course. A Denmark win would give them the best chance of topping the group, depending on the England result. So England have got to be at the races, as we say. Today we've got some 5 p.m s. They're back. France v Poland and Netherlands versus Austria. Kylian Mbappe is reportedly getting used to his mask ahead of the Poland match. Didier Deschamps said he's raring to go. But according to reports, a Polish company has made a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle mask for Kylian Mbappe. Poland goalkeeper Marcin Bulka is said to be prepared to gift it to him before or after their match against France.
Give
tomorrow.
it to him before the game, Martin.
Yeah.
See what happens.
To how you're received in your media.
This feels very.
They're already out, Poland. Might as well.
There's something very Facebook about this, like rehashing a joke from about 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's. I'm one with Jim. Give it to him before the game.
Well, I like it, especially because those masks, they're not just off the peg kind of Sports Direct one, are they?
No.
They've got to be moulded.
That's right.
Specifically to your own face.
I don't think he's thinking about the one they use in the film. I think it's like a party one, isn't it?
It is. It's an actual face mask that basically someone who makes these medical face masks, they've painted it to look
think
like.
They were going to give him a little party mask.
Yeah.
You idiot.
Little confetti cannon.
It's as unusual as the thing they're actually going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, why is the Polish goalkeeper getting involved?
I don't know.
He's the last person who should be giving him a mask like that. You're asking for so much trouble.
Oh dear! I like that Diddy's forced into because he's being conservative. He's kind of forced into playing him a little bit, playing Mbappe when you probably wouldn't choose to risk him, would you?
Do you know?
I think Mbappe probably will decide if he plays.
True.
Did you? We saw him without the mask when he was on the sidelines for the previous game.
It looked great.
Yeah. How did you do that? Your nose was next to your ear.
Yeah.
Is this another conspiracy on the Ramble, like Kylian Mbappe's nose?
Yeah. Press the button. Press the button.
No, not doing it now. You've ruined that.
I very much enjoyed the button yesterday.
Yeah.
I laughed.
Oh dear.
Nose ad.
The winner of this group will be the winner on this group will be an England side of the draw should England win their group. So, England, you need to win that group.
I love permutation, Speller.
Yeah.
You've been doing it since the first kick of the ball, and I'm loving it.
That's what happens. Cheers
for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.